The Simpsons is becoming a huge problem for me. But then again, that started way before the last video, so who cares? Hey everyone, my name is Schubert, and the Simpsons game is not a very good Simpsons game. The keywords there are Simpsons Game. The second time I said that, just to be clear there. I see how that can be a little confusing. How is a Simpsons game not a Simpsons game? Let me back up a little bit. The Simpsons Game is a 2007 beat-em-up game styled around, and this may shock you, Family Guy. If you're a Simpsons fan and even slightly like video games, there's a good chance you've heard of the Simpsons Hit and Run, a game adored by Simpsons fans for including so many references and love letters to the show. So why is the game that proclaims proudly the Simpsons game overshadowed by it? Seriously, the Simpsons game is known, but for a game that has little to do with the overall Simpsons, a show about a wacky family doing wacky things, and turning that premise into a car simulator, only for that car simulator to be seen as more of a representation than the namesake, with game added in obviously, it's a little hard to believe. There will be spoilers for the Simpsons game coming next, so if you actually want to play it, then sorry. But the spoilers were probably pretty low, so if you haven't played it, you'll probably be fine. The game was developed by EA, and the story centers around the main cast finding out they have video game superpowers, and every wacky thing that they can do with those video game superpowers. It's a simple plot, and while it's not necessarily bad, there's not much to say about it, since it's basically a meta game within a game. Ooh, the family can do things not normally possible. Ooh. They find out they have these superpowers by, and I kid you not, Bart finds an instruction manual dropped by God. And not just any instruction manual, the instruction manual for the game you're playing. The Simpsons game. Side note, in the cutscene where they show the manual, it's the same manual across every platform, despite how every platform has different box art, and the box art mirrors the manual. So they just made the Xbox 360 manual appear in the game. A cool thought, no doubt, to anyone like me who played the 360 version, but I have to assume it breaks the illusion for people playing another version. Even in the DS version, where the cutscenes were remade from the ground up from the animation style of the show into a 3D environment. I have to assume they did this because it was on the DS, so they couldn't really compress it to look, good. But they still use the Xbox art, but a different version of the Xbox art. So why change it in the first place? That's annoying, but I think I should just move on to the main part of the video, why the Simpsons game doesn't feel like a Simpsons game. If you ever played a brand new game, good or bad, you know there's always sort of a feel to it. It can be hard to pinpoint, but I think I might have. The game feels like it was meant to be played by someone who has never heard of the brand or has minimal knowledge of it. So the game devs try to make it stand on its own, when the core audience is usually people who will go the extra mile to play a game about the product. That may not be the feeling of all branded games, but that is what this feels like for sure. It tries to stand on its own when all it has to do is tap into the source material, even a little bit. Sure, I couldn't think of another game that allows you to fight the creator of the franchise, and then in the very next level, you get to play controller DDR against a god, trying to... Hold on, let me see if I got this correct. Yeah, okay, that it is. Alright. Sorry. Trying to break horrible video game console puns revolving around religion. Yes, that really happens. You fight Matt Groening. Graining?
It's graining!
Are you sure?
No.
Graining. But because I can't think of another franchise that would be doing that, that does not mean that it makes sense in the idea of The Simpsons, let alone a Simpsons game. I mean, what would even make a good Simpsons game? Probably a game that feels like a Simpsons episode that you can play, but this feels like a beat 'em up with The Simpsons attached. I think that's why people love Hit and Run. It has a story, and it wants to tell that story in a way only a Simpsons fan could tell it, and it does it really well. The Simpsons game has no real story, and virtually no replayability, which I'll get to in a second. There are alternate costumes in the game, but I'm dead serious when I say I think I hate how you get them. You get them through the story. Fine enough, I suppose. I don't care if you have to earn them, or if you get them through other means, but they have no bearing on the plot. And changing outfits has no advantages or disadvantages. I realize it sounds like I'm nitpicking here, but there's no reason for these costumes. They just kind of remind you of a level in the game. They're not even references to the show, just costumes you have to wear for one level, and then you can wear them whenever you want to. In any level. Alright, a little more replayability. There are only really two kinds of replayability, a surprise to most who think there's only one, but I swear there's two. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. The first kind is after you finish the story. Do you want to continue until it's 100% completed, or do you just want to stop after the story? And the second type of replayability is replayability, where you want to go back and play it after it's finished it. The first kind, there's really nothing to go back to. You play it once and there's not much to do after that. Sure, there are a lot of collectibles, but they're not very good. They consist of a few collectibles in each level you go to in the game, and they're character-specific collectibles, so each character has to get one of them, and then next one, and then rinse and repeat for every other character. They turned a beat-em-up into a collectathon. The only other things to collect in the video game are video game cliché. There are a lot less of these, but they're still just collectibles, but slightly harder to find. The second kind of replayability is also not the best. The game will always be the same no matter how many times you play it. Little story, generally not very long, and an average beat 'em up, which I realize I've said a lot like it's a bad thing, but it's really not, I swear. I thought I might as well talk about this while I still can. Differences between versions. They are the same with some levels changes here and there, but generally every single game is the same, other than the DS version, which is its own completely unrelated thing but still uses the name and generally uses the same places between versions. The game has beautiful cutscenes in full 1080p on PS3 and 360, an insane feat in 2007, 2 years before the first HD Simpsons episode released even. I also realize this is the only time Sideshow Bob has ever been seen officially in HD, and that may never change. Still gonna cross my fingers though. The only main difference is the fact that the non-PS3 and Xbox 360 versions of the game shave the open world out entirely. Sad, maybe, but the buildings you can go into feel lifeless and filled with way too much open space. Also, after the story, they don't use the open world at all, and so there's pretty much nothing to do there but go looking around for collectibles. And what you have to do to re-enter your levels is literally go to the main menu, which is just weird that they didn't use the open world that they had already made. So, is it a good Simpsons game? No. It feels rushed and kind of lifeless. But then again, that's how most branded games feel. I'm pretty sure this was made as a tie-in to the Simpsons movie, but don't quote me on that. I will say though, it was pretty cool to see a Spore reference in a 2007 game. I mean, that was just such a nice touch on the part of EA. It's also kind of weird seeing an empty DLC menu, especially with the fact that this is EA and they'll make DLC for any game. So yeah, it probably didn't meet sales expectations, so they decided not to make anything for it. Missed opportunity? Probably. But I mean, it made it onto the box of the game. So they knew they were going to make it, but they just didn't. But given the fact that this was just a movie tie-in, no DLC came out, and, well, very few people know about it today, it's safe to say it was pretty much forgotten to the sands of time. Alright, it's me. I just want to say thank you so much for the support on the last Hit and Run video. It was my most viewed video in 2 weeks' time, and then after that 2 weeks it got launched into the stratosphere for who knows why. I went from like 6 subscribers to like 80 in more 2 weeks. It's really just awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'm not gonna lie, I made this video pretty much half because I wanted to know why that last video worked. Was it The Simpsons? Was it The Simpsons Hit and Run? Was it the not very novel idea? I mean, I literally just plagiarized that entire video. Or was it because of something else? I really want to hear from you guys, if you don't mind. But that's only half the reason why I made this video. The other half is because, hey, happy birthday to the game. It officially turns 15 today. In the US at least. I don't really know what this video was, a critique, a review, a video essay, because there aren't enough Simpsons video essays out there, you know. Well, there aren't enough already, so why not another one in this pile? If you enjoyed the video though, and you made it this far, hey, a subscription would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. I mean, I don't really upload that often, so even if you did subscribe, then probably wouldn't see much from me, which, good or bad thing, who knows. But I do have another video coming out very, very soon. Again, I usually don't really upload, so, you know, if you want to watch me, and, well, it would support me a lot. Thank you so much. Also, did I fix the audio? Let me know. Thanks.